predicting that Bitcoin could skyrocket to $250,000 this cycle, maybe even 500,000, and some are saying $1 million for this cycle. May 7th could be a huge turning point for everything, for all of this, right? So global stimulus could supercharge crypto, all right? More money equals more risk on behavior. So if we got more money in the market, if there's more liquidity, people are going to take more risk. People are going to jump into higher, riskier assets, i.e. cryptocurrency, the Mag 7, which is the biggest tech stocks in the world that are... Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy Dre Soul here with some more crypto news and crypto wisdom for your head top. So make sure you share, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend if they want to learn about crypto, if they want to know about the markets and what's going on, and get some wisdom from somebody that's been in the space since 2017. Send them here to your boy Dre Soul with Urban Blockchain. So today we're going to talk about the macro risks. We're going to talk about Fed meeting. We're going to talk about the ETFs that's coming. We're going to talk about crypto, blockchain, and what's to come for crypto, because the bull run ain't over. And many are saying that the bull run didn't even start yet, right? Some are saying that it's just getting started. We got plenty of people predicting that Bitcoin could skyrocket to $250,000 this cycle, maybe even 500,000. And some are saying $1 million for this cycle. So that's crazy. Now, what is the cycle? Who knows, right? Normally, we run off a 4-year cycle. That 4-year cycle is based on the halving of Bitcoin. So every 4 years, there's a halving where the reward for the Bitcoin mining gets cut in half. That 4-year cycle also follows the global liquidity 4-year cycle as well, which is pretty ironic and pretty unique and pretty helpful at the same time, right? So liquidity is going to be our best friend. Timing is going to be our best friend, and knowing what's going on in the macro market with tariffs, with all the global headwinds and tailwinds. This is going to put us in a good position for what to know and what to do for this crypto cycle and for this crypto market. Because baby, the bull run ain't over, right? And I'm bullish. I'm super bullish. I'm always bullish. Even in like a bear market, I'd be bullish, right? Because there's always news coming out that shows that crypto is here to stay. More and more people, more and more institutions, more and more governments, more and more, families, everyone is just waking up. Everyone's waking up, right? And some are starting to realize like, yo, my son, my daughter, my homeboy, my coworker, they were telling me about this crypto thing a couple of months ago, and maybe they was on to something, right? Now, first and foremost, we're going to talk about the macro risk and the macro risks that are holding the market back. So overall, this is based on the bird's eye view, the macro view, the entire thing, right? It encompasses everything, right? We got to include the entire globe because Bitcoin is technically a global asset, right? It's decentralized. It's not controlled by one entity. It's not controlled by one government. Although there might be some conspiracies about CIA creating Bitcoin, so on and so forth, whatever. At the end of the day, we got to talk about the macro risk and why it's holding the market back, right? So short-term pain, but long-term opportunity. So in the short term, there's pain. It's been choppy. The market hates uncertainty, and Trump's tariffs have created a bunch of uncertainty in the market, and the market hates that. People hate uncertainty. People hate the fact that they don't know what's going to happen and what's going on. And markets especially hate the fact that they don't know what's going on, right? So Trump's tariffs created a bunch of uncertainty. Companies are cutting hiring. So that's alarming as well. PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, just mentioned that they're going to do some layoffs as well. And that's a pretty big institution as well, right? So not just them, but Home Depot, I think, mentioned that, and UPS. There's a few companies that mention, cutting jobs and cutting hiring, right? Consumers are saving a lot more and not spending as much as they were before. Now, although credit card debt is at its highest, people are starting to realize like, yo, I got to save some money. These eggs is too high. The price of the eggs is too high. So we're going to cut the spending, right? And until the 90-day tariff, which is going to be in July, until that happens, until the 90-day tariff pause is over, expect chop in the market. Expect it to be grinding. Expect it to be moving up and down. Expect the chop, right? So, however, there are early signs that show that we're closer to the end of this uncertainty than we are at the start of the uncertainty. So the light is at the end of the tunnel, right? It's almost over. So we just got to keep going through it, man. You know what I'm saying? There's no point in stopping in hell. You got to go through it. You feel me? Right? Now, what we have to watch out for is May 7th. Watch the Fed for May 7th because liquidity is the number one thing that will decide our bags, right? And one thing that we have to pay attention to is the M2 global money supply. And that's all the money that's available in the world. And that is increasing and set to increase as we go throughout the summer, going into June, so on and so forth. Liquidity is what we need to drive the market. So liquidity is our best friend, right? And the Fed, kicked off their two-day policy meeting Tuesday morning today, right? I don't know when you're watching this, but Tuesday morning, the Fed Reserve's two-day policy meeting had kicked off, right? May 7th is the date that we should be looking for what's to come, right? The Fed is in a difficult position right now, right? Because we got hard economic data like inflation and job numbers. It shows that the economy is in a decent shape, right? But there's soft data like consumer and CEO sentiment, which has plunged in recent weeks, with Americans anticipating further inflation and fearing job losses. Some are even talking about the recession and so on and so forth, right? That's why the central bank is facing what Wall Street Journal refers to as a lose-lose scenario, deciding between addressing inflation by keeping rates where they are or combating weak growth by cutting rates, right? So they got to make a decision, but either way, it's going to be a loss. So high interest rates affect everything from personal loans to credit cards to mortgage rates, which in 2023 hit their highest level, right? This century. But taking action to shield the economy against a slowdown by cutting rates could have an undesired effect, right? Of adding inflation pressures resulting from tariffs and shortages, right? So it's a lose-lose situation, right? We got to figure this out, but we got to pay attention because this is a very important meeting, So the Fed could stop quantitative tightening altogether, and that would be a great thing, right? And then reintroduce quantitative easing slowly, which will help stimulate the markets, right? Rate cuts are still expected this year, and they could be sooner than later. Trump is trying to force, Powell to cut these rates, and it could be sooner than later, right? It might not be with this meeting, but it might be in June. Now, if inflation falls plus the economy weakens, liquidity will definitely flood back in, right? They ain't just going to make the markets look like crap, especially not on Trump's watch. They're going to make sure that they cook in the circuit break, tap into them circuit breakers and make sure that some money is flowing in to save the markets, to save the economy. So May 7th could be a huge turning point for everything, for all of this, right? Now, not just United States, right? We got to talk about the global aspect because, as I said, it's the macro, it's the bird eye view. So we got to talk about everything, right? So global stimulus could supercharge crypto, right? More money equals more risk on behavior. So if we got more money in the market, if there's more liquidity, people are going to take more risk. People are going to jump into higher, riskier assets, i.e. cryptocurrency, the Mag 7, which is the biggest tech stocks in the world that are running the QQQ, S&P, so on and so forth, right? Running the stock markets, essentially, right? So that's something we got to pay attention to as well, because China and Germany are planning huge stimulus packages, right? Liquidity from Europe and Asia could spill into crypto markets, and that will be lovely for our bags. Right now, the markets are being held up by mainly retail investors. You got a bunch of institutions. You got Michael Saylor buying up Bitcoin like crazy, but shout out to the retail investors because we're the ones that's still buying right now. But more liquidity from other countries, liquidity from Europe and Asia spilling into the crypto markets will be wonderful. So watch for stimulus announcements this summer. Now, the biggest trend in all of finance right now is AI, artificial intelligence. It's the biggest trend for art. It's the biggest trend for content creation, for social media. Everywhere you turn, you see something with AI. Something is being cooked up with AI deep fakes, AI voiceovers, AI art, everything, right? Now, being that AI is running the world, whenever announcements happen with AI, it's going to create these rallies, right? And it's going to be opportunities for us to, generate some bread for our bags, right? So look out for new AI announcements that will create new rallies. OpenAI's Chat GPT 5 is a mouthful could drop anytime, right? And that will shock markets. It's going to cause it to explode. Tesla's unsupervised driving release, which is set for June, could be huge as well. And Apple's secret AI projects could surprise this year as well. So look out for Apple, look out for Microsoft and OpenAI, look out for Tesla, all right? And the Mag 7 overall, which is the big tech stocks, they still dictate the market direction. They are still running the market. And Bitcoin is like a little cousin of the Mag 7 right now. So pay attention to what the Mag 7 is doing, because that's going to dictate what the entire market is going to do, essentially, overall, right? Now, huge crypto catalysts are coming as well. We got a lot of crypto catalysts that are coming. And, there's so many stories that's coming out about cryptocurrency adoption. We got the stablecoin acts, government supporting cryptocurrency. We got companies like Capital 21 that's trying to recreate the whole genius behind what Michael Saylor and Strategy has been doing with just creating this continuous loop of buying more Bitcoin, taking out debt against the company to buy more Bitcoin, but they're not losing on that debt, essentially, because they're making returns on the Bitcoin. And then when they make the returns, it's going to buy more Bitcoin. So it's just like a continuous loop of buying more Bitcoin. Got so many catalysts that are coming, right? We got liquidity unlocks. We got ETF waves that are incoming, which is going to cause more institutions, more traditional investors to jump into the crypto markets. So we got 11.4 billion FTX repayments. I don't know if you remember FTX. I don't know if you've been under a rock, but Sam Bankman-Fried, he's in jail right now because he was taking that money from FTX, which was a crypto exchange similar to Gemini, similar to Crypto.com, similar to Coinbase, so on and so forth. Instead of your crypto being 1 for 1 for the dollar you put in with the crypto that you invested, he was taking that money on the back end and doing some other craziness with it. Now, he actually made his fortune off of crypto arbitrage, where he was selling Bitcoin, Ethereum in one market, buying it in one market and then selling it in another market where there was a price gap, so the arbitrage. So he was taking advantage of, like, let's say if one marketplace was showing that Bitcoin was at 18,200. And then on this particular exchange, it showed that Bitcoin was 18,800. He would sell and get that $600 profit or whatever. Hopefully my math was right on that example. But, he would take the profit off of that. And that's how he became the Billy. You feel me? Invested money into the Biden campaign. And he was the darling. He was the Warren Buffett of cryptocurrency for some reason, right? They all was praising this man. Meanwhile, he was thieving and stealing people's hard-earned money. And I say thieving because I'm Caribbean, so he was stealing the money. You feel me? But those repayments are going to start to institutions. That's set to start late May. You got DeFi borrowing, which is decentralized finance borrowing with BTC and XRP collateral, which is surging. You have Coinbase that is allowing people to take loans out against a crypto up to like $1 million, which is insane and dope and, a game changer all at the same time. We got more spot ETFs, right? So the Bitcoin ETF was the greatest ETF in ETF history. If you don't believe me, you could check it yourself. Do your research. Ethereum, probably not as much, but people are still buying up Ethereum and institutions are buying millions and millions of Ethereum. There might be more Ethereum ETFs to come, more products with different companies, but we also got the Solana ETF and the Sweet ETFs that are set to hit the market later this year. So pay attention to that as well. Those are two nimble, dope, cost-effective blockchains that are changing the game, that might even, I won't say that they will replace Ethereum, but people believe that they will replace Ethereum, and that's the reason why Ethereum hasn't been doing as well, because they're slow. It costs a lot. Gas fees are high, but you got Solana and Sui, which is doing essentially the same thing at a fraction of the price, and people are using these chains like crazy. You got Sui coming out with Sui Play, which is a video game console device. Solana has a phone. So not only are they creating DeFi, software, financial, meme coin type products, they're also creating physical products, mixing the physical and the digital, creating that digital world that we're stepping into. So shout out to Solana and Sui for actually having products, not just giving us promises about a blockchain, smart contracts, and whatnot. They're actually, providing products as well for the masses to jump in, because a lot of people don't really understand DeFi and AI agents and smart contracts and all that craziness. But if you give them a video game, if you give them a mobile device, they start to tune in, they start to understand a little bit more. So be on the lookout for that. And then we finally got some SEC clarity. We got my boy Paul Atkins, who's now the new chairman. He's advocate for cryptocurrency. So he's an enthusiast for cryptocurrency. So there's going to be more clarity when it comes to cryptocurrency, and this could unleash on-chain activity like we've never seen before. So what to expect next? Summer will tell the entire story, right? It might be a DeFi summer like a couple of summers ago. We don't know. It might be a Sui summer. It might be an Avalanche summer with gaming. It might be an AI summer. It could be all of that in one. RWA, real world assets. Make sure you're doing your research on all those niches, the top coins in those niches. This is not financial advice. Do your own research. You heard? Please do your own research. But make sure you tap in with those, and, tap in with your boy for more information regarding those niches and those categories, narratives, so on and so forth. But the summer will be a clearer macro picture for us. Big moves are possible and upon us between May and July. There will be some uncertainty and some chop and some sideways grind, but there will be opportunities, because there's always ways to make money in the market. And then in the autumn and the fall, there could be potential for a massive rally leading into the end of the year. We could potentially have a nasty reset as well if inflation bites back. But like I said, I'm always bullish on this side, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not a 2-year thing. It's not a 2-month thing. It's a forever thing, right? Crypto's here to stay, and we are here for the new frontier, and we're earlier than you think. And the early bird gets the worm, as they said, right? But we're trying to get all the worms. We're trying to get everything, right? So make sure you tap in, tell a friend to tell a friend, like, subscribe, and drop a comment, and let us know what you think. Tap in. It's your boy Dre La Soul, Urban Blockchain, Crypto Rants. We out.